on a very practical level. And we will call today Reinventing the Body and Age Reversal, a practical bottoms-up and top-down approach. So if you like the idea, let me know. And Demetrius, as usual, is saying loud and crystal clear. That's my sign that I can proceed. So thank you, Demetrius. And thank you, Shalina, Virani. Thank you, David. Thank you, Verox Beeson. Thank all of you. Let's talk about reinventing the body and reversing the age practically, both a bottoms-up and a top-down approach. Now, as you know, about 3 years ago, and maybe you don't know, I did make the reckless statement that I would start to reverse my age in an accelerated manner. So for 3 years, I've been doing some of the techniques that I'm sharing with you. Actually, I've been doing many more than I'm sharing with you, but I'd like to share with you the process. So I am actually very seriously reversing biological age as measured by things like blood pressure, heart rate variability, things like galvanic skin response, immune function, biomarkers like hormones, on and on. We've discussed these in the past. Today there are more sophisticated ways of measuring genetic age, including the activity of the enzyme telomerase and also activity of genes that cause self-regulation, and looking at genes that cause inflammation, how to reactivate a more integrative activity in genes as understood through the new science of epigenetics. So there are lots of things that we're learning since I wrote my original books, Ageless Body, Timeless Mind, Grow Younger, Live Longer, 10 Ways to Reverse Aging, etc., etc. So let's start. First of all, many of you might think, why bother? Why do we want to bother reversing aging or living a long life and wanting to live a long life? Well, of course, the choice is yours. You can choose not to. But the word that is becoming very much a meme now in the anti-aging research is called health span. So health span is how long we can stay healthy prior to the inevitable death that occurs to the experience that we call a physical body. Lifespan, on the other hand, just means how long you will live. Now, of course, you could live a long time but be miserable. You could live a long time and have infirmity and disease and chronic disease. You could live a long time, have pain. You could live a long time and have huge emotional distress. All those things, by the way, interfere with lifespan too. But what they really interfere with is health span, feeling whole, feeling healthy, feeling what we've discussed before, joyful, energetic body, feeling having the experience of loving, compassionate heart, a clear, reflective mind, lightness of being, actually being a light being. So that would be amazing, right? Health span and lifespan synchronized. And that's what we want to do. And actually, if you get in touch with our spirit, then even death becomes a construct. So I think it's worth exploring. So I promised earlier that today would be a bottoms-up and a top-down approach as well. So the bottom-up approach is a physicalist approach, a genetic approach. Simply, you need to know that more than 99% of the genes, and genes are stretches of DNA that code for proteins and ultimately for everything that happens in the body, because proteins are enzymes, and proteins, enzymes together can convert to any chemistry in your body. Fats, carbs, whatever. So a bottoms-up approach would be to look at genes. And more than 90% of these genes in your body are, as I've mentioned before, for some of you this may be new information, but more than 90% of the genes in your body are microbial genes, bacterial genes, fungi, bacteria, etc. And you have 2 million to 20 million of these that come from planet Earth, the soil, from plants, from vegetables, from fruits, from animals as well. Any contact with animals will also result in the exchange of microbial genes. So more than 90% of your genetic information in your body is microbial. It's the planetary microbiome, which is being destroyed, of course, by chemical farming and insecticides and pesticides and antibiotics and hormones. Nevertheless, the more genetic diversity in your body, the healthier you will be. I'm told that a teaspoon of soil under the surface of the rainforest in the Amazon has more genetic biodiversity than all the rainforests of our planet combined. So we have a lot of resources there under the soil to maximize genetic biodiversity in our own body. But here's the interesting thing. Today, we can, through deep learning systems, artificial intelligence, and many other techniques, we can actually precisely map out the microbiome in the body, and we can precisely change it. I'm writing articles on this subject with experts. In fact, next Monday will be another installation of these articles. But bottom line is, through diet, through good sleep, through meditation, through mind-body coordination, through yoga, breathing, through exercise, through focused awareness, through healthy emotions, but primarily through diet, one can immediately change the entire microbiome, which means, immediately means within a few months, okay? Which means that you can change 90 plus percentage of the genetic information in your body. Well, that's pretty interesting, right? Because genes create your body. And you can change more than 90%. Actually change, not transform, change. Get rid of the old ones and get new ones. That leaves about 10% or less of the genes in your body, which are human. And these you acquired from your parents. But these two, they can't be changed, of course, because that's the deck of cards that you got dealt with as soon as you became a fertilized ovum. You can't change your human genes, but you can change their activity with the same things that I mentioned before. We now have research to show that within a week of mindfulness and meditative practices and a little bit of yoga and deep breathing, you can increase the activity of those genes in your body that are responsible for self-regulation or homeostasis up to 17-fold in some cases, and decrease the activity of the genes, human genes, which of course interact with the bacterial genes significantly. You can decrease the activity of the genes that cause inappropriate inflammation which is associated with depression, anxiety, chronic illness, and many, many other things. Carmen says, I don't care about women in India. I don't know how she knows that. I'm a disciple of the divine feminine in all its forms in India. I grew up in India. I'm actively engaged in many causes in India, including orphanages and actually women's causes. And please check out our website, www.neveralone.love, and you will see what we're doing in India. And if you think we should do more, let us know. Aarti Agarwal seems to be enjoying this. Cheryl says, my breathing cuts off at night while sleeping. You may have sleep apnea. Try breathing through the nose all day. Okay, so where were we? Before I got distracted with this comment about I don't care about women in India. Listen, my mother was a woman from India. My wife is a woman from India. I care a lot about women, not only in India. I worship the divine feminine. Okay, so where were we? Bottom-up approach. You can change your entire body by changing your genetic microbiome, but also activating healthy genes in your body. That's the bottoms-up approach. The top-down approach is a consciousness approach, which says all that we have to do is shift our identity from the ego-body-mind, which is a changing process in a deeper awareness, which is what we call the self. So all we have to do is shift our identity from the ego-body-mind to the awareness in which the ego-mind and the body are a changing activity, a changing perceptual activity, and we have to observe it as silent witnesses. Just that very act of silent witnessing awareness actually integrates mind, body, and what we call perceptual activity, the physical universe. And in that integration and that stillness is a change in genetic activity, all genetic activity. Do we have proof on this? Well, it's coming, but we do know that still mind will be the highest intelligence, a still non-conceptual awareness. The physical body in wisdom traditions is referred to as the pain body. The pain body, it's also referred to as the karmic body. The physical body is a memory. It's a memory of karma. So when you look at me, you're not looking at me, you're looking at a memory of me. By the time you perceive me, what you perceive is over. So you're always looking at the past, and what you see is a memory, literally. This is a memory that you see. Now, if you had taken a photo of me 10 years ago, that was another memory, and by the way, that looked much older, that particular photo. But of course, photos are subject to revision, right? So this is a photo. Actually, it's a snapshot. It's not a moving photo, because if you took a moving photo, you'd see, and you did a timeline on it, and what do you call this these days? There's something called time lapse. If you did a time lapse from birth to death, you'd see a morphing, changing phenomenon that we humans call the body, but there's no such thing. Okay, that's another construct, just like genes are constructs, and epigenetics is construct, and neuroscience is construct, and the brain itself is a construct. Ultimately, all there is awareness, having an experience, and then interpreting it and making constructs of it, which are also useful. The knowledge of genes, the knowledge of atoms, force fields, particles, all of that is very useful in navigating the perceptual experience of the world, which we call physical, and the perceptual experience that we call the body, All of that is very useful, and also it's very useful in creating new technologies. As long as you remember that the everyday self, the everyday self is a fictional character in a collective dreamscape. But knowing that, we can, reverse the aging of this fictional character. I'd like to know from you guys whether you think I'm doing a good job in my own example. If you think I am, visually speaking. Of course, I'm going on and on looking at biomarkers and all that for myself, just to document so we can create a science of anti-aging, reinventing the body, and resurrecting the soul, which is actually one of my books. But now we have more and more information. Many people are asking about vegetarian diets and vegan diets. Yes, maximum diversity in plant-based foods increases the diversity of the microbiome and the genetic information in the body. So absolutely yes, I practice that myself. But if you do eat meat, then make sure it doesn't come from factory. That's all. And understand that meat diets are generally heavier, can be inflammatory, can cause all kinds of other issues, especially if they come from factory-farmed animals. And of course, there's a lot of fear in an animal that's being slaughtered, causing all kinds of inflammation, inflammatory products, which if you consume can cause harm as well. So a plant-based diet is the best. Maximum diversity of plant-based diet. How do we know that? 7 colors of the rainbow and the 6 tastes of life. So make sure your food has 7 colors of the rainbow and 6 tastes. 7 colors: Vibgyor, violet, indigo, blue, green, yellow, orange, red. Fruits, vegetables, blackberries, blueberries, raspberries, cherries, grapes, radish, cucumber. Plants with lots of fiber will change your microbiome immediately. You can also get your microbiome tested through many commercial outlets. I actually am an advisor on one commercial outlet called Viome, V-I-O-M, that measures the microbiome and tells you what's appropriate as diet for you. But again, distracted. So shifting awareness from self-image to self. That's it. Self-image is the basis of a lot of stress. Okay? People are constantly trying to be relevant. Relevant means what? They want to reinforce their self-image because they confuse self-esteem with self-image. Okay? But self-image lives in fear. Your selfie lives in fear. This one is good and this one is ugly. Take another snapshot. I don't like the first one. On and on. So self-image lives in fear. It feels beneath someone, superior to others. It needs control, manipulation, control dramas, stories, melodrama, fear basically. On the other hand, yourself, the silent witnessing awareness, is free of all that. And in that, evolution happens spontaneously, and there's spontaneous choice making, which is called Kriya Shakti. There's spontaneous knowing, which is called Gyan Shakti. And there's spontaneous joy, which is called Ananda Shakti. Spontaneous joy. No need to acquire anything to be happy. Happy because I'm aware of existence and grateful for the awareness of existence. And that is all that's necessary. Being aware of existence and also being grateful. It happens by itself. when you are aware. And in that awareness, many things happen. You see your entanglement with all that exists. You see interdependence. You have access to truth, goodness, beauty, harmony, love, compassion, joy, equanimity, and carefreeness. You become a light being. That's the secret. Be a light being. Be a light being, because you are a light being. If you go beyond the appearance of the body, it's made of light. But it's transparent, and it's the light of awareness. It's the light of awareness that gives color, shape, and form to everything. Color, shape, and form to everything. Without the light of awareness, what surrounds us, engulfs us, is black, invisible, electromagnetic radiation. Close your eyes, that's all you experience. Now open your eyes, and suddenly that black electromagnetic radiation is actually becoming this room. A three-dimensional theater of space-time causality with colors and sounds and textures and tastes and smells and all kinds of amazing experiences, starscapes, seascapes, mountains, glorious snow-clad mountains, blue oceans, rainforests, the amazing expression of the diversity of genetic information, which in turn is a symbolic representation of pure consciousness in a particular modality of knowing and experience. In a particular modality of knowing and experience. Inviting me to Egypt, I'm so happy. I will come. Juna Mana. Lotfi. I will come. Egypt. I've been there before, by the way. I took a cruise in the Nile, and I went to the pyramids, and it was so gorgeous. So I'll come again to Egypt one of these days. So I think now we have seen what the bottoms-up approach is. Actually changing the expressions of reality, the symbolic representations, which then create a different experience of everyday life, including the experience of our body as well, and our mind as well. But if we combine bottoms up and top down, understanding that consciousness ultimately differentiates into everything that we call an experience, everything that we call a knowing, everything that we call an object, everything that we call a process, then you are great. You're doing very good. Shalina Varini says, what did she say? I missed her. She said something about the Vishuddha Chakra. This is the Vishuddha Chakra, blue. See the anything blue represents here. I think of Krishna as the blue archetype, but all Indian archetypes are blue, creative expression, sky-clad, blue sky, blue ocean. So I don't know what you were saying, Shalini, but blue is a beautiful color associated with creative expression. And blue-green is also associated with abundance. Qualia, these are qualia that we use to construct stories. So bottoms up, top down. And you can reverse your aging, biological aging. I'm doing that. Join me. And hold me to it. Hold me to it. Okay, now I'm looking at your comments before I go. Aloha from Maui, Beck, Pascal Art. Alicia says something in Spanish. Hi from New York. Hi guys. Can you tell me whether you're enjoying this or is it making sense? Should I continue shooting the breeze? Why don't you show more practical things and show your wealth with us poor fans? Listen, wealth, abundance is a state of consciousness. I came to this country with $8. Now, this is a very interesting story. I was given $8 when I left India. Foreign exchange regulations didn't allow us to leave with more, but I had an uncle in England who lent me $100, so I now had $108. So I thought this is a very auspicious number because in India, 108 is a very auspicious holy number. So I thought I should do something interesting with my $108. I went to Paris and I spent it all in one night in the nightclubs of Paris, including Moulin Rouge. So when I arrived in New York, I had no money, zero money. And I had to call my hospital administrator to get a ride from the airport to the little hospital that I was working in New Jersey. And they were so desperate. This was the end of the Vietnam War. And all the American doctors were at war. So we were imported labor. And I arrived with zero imported labor. So my hospital was so desperate to get a doctor in turn that they sent me a helicopter. My first experience in the US, lifting off JFK in a helicopter, looking at New York City. I thought they made a mistake. This looks like Disney World because I've never seen America. I'd never seen TV set or color TV or anything like that. So this was all new to me. And now, of course, some people are complaining that I've made a lot of money and I'm wealthy. I just want you to know that wealth is a state of consciousness. And if you carefully listen to what I'm saying, you can create any amount of wealth by being abundant in your consciousness. I know a lot of very rich people who are very poor because they think about money all the time. I don't think about money. I do what needs to be done, leave the results to the unknown. Of course, my mother also told me to chase the goddess of wisdom and not the goddess of wealth, because if I did that, the goddess of wealth would become jealous and she would chase me. So all of this is, of course, metaphor, allegory, symbolic, qualia representation. But if you really understand that, you won't complain about other people being wealthy. That'll keep you poor if you do that. So please, be abundant in your consciousness. That's all you need. Okay, sorry for the long digression. These comments are useful. Lynn Pendergara says, come to South Africa. I've been many, many times and I will come again. I will come again. We just need some of these restrictions lifted and more safety in traveling and be back. In the meanwhile, I'll be here every day. So let's stay here. Now, Shalini Marini is saying, you have powerful Vishuddha thyroid function. I'm actually an endocrinologist, so I'm a thyroid specialist too. Okay, hello from Somerset and Pera. Yes, joining you to reverse the biological age. Finally, I got an affirmative, Shaza, and now many people are saying, yes, joining you. Poem says it's working. Okay, let's make it keep working. See you tomorrow.